Hair of the hand.
Yes.
They're like round and stubby compared to the other fingers.
Yes.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Alright. Ladies and future boys, welcome to the School for Wayward Nerds, the only podcast to be escorted from a McDonald's playground. My name is Toby DePaula, and this week is part 2 of Volume 1 of Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah.
Kaya is my co-host.
Yeah.
What happened last week?
You told me about the comic, but I know it all from the bit movie.
The game is adorable. PS1, well, everything's polygons, and she called those people a bunch of pussies. So when we last left, she got beat up.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of that?
It's mean. Don't beat people up.
Okay. When we last left off, they were going to throw Alita onto a new body.
Yeah.
One from...
Two changes.
One from Ito's little secret
Dash.
collection, yeah. His wine cellar of robos.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's jump into it.
That was loud.
Yeah, man.
Sorry.
Be careful out there. So, Dr. Ito has a collection of rare and unique robot bodies in his basement, including Robbie Robot from Forbidden Planet. I love the Western cameos in this series because, like, I can get the reference.
Yeah.
Way later in the series, we see the Cyclops brain that I always bring up on this podcast. You know, the one from the Brain That Wouldn't Die poster. Yeah. So they're down in the basement for the Berserker body. You know that one.
Yeah.
So we go into a flashback. While scavenging for parts outside the city, Ito found a downed spaceship from a war that no history books bothered with because no one is printing history books in the scrapyard. He has a bit of a look around in there and finds a downed soldier. He is a berserker. Spoilers, it's a type of body that Martians used during their interplanetary war.
Yeah.
The head had died and rotted away over hundreds of years, and the body had sort of sat silently alive waiting for a new owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a empty shell, kind of.
That's okay. It happens.
Yeah. So Ito took it home and realised it was a weapon of war and pretty much no other use. It's a man-sized tank of a thing.
Yeah.
So he left it in the basement up until now. Alita...
Can't use it.
He didn't want to use it. He said it's evil.
Yeah, but Ito seems to find a lot of things evil, yet he goes out most nights and kills people.
He kills villains.
That's still evil.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, if Martians came and attacked people and you just had one of their tanks, it would kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth, wouldn't it?
It was 300 years ago. You don't even know.
I don't know. Look, I don't want any Nazi paraphernalia in my house.
That's...
The fact that he kept it in the basement actually negates what I'm saying. But yeah, Alita knows how to use this power. All he can do is provide it.
Yeah.
So, Ito can reconfigure it to be female-shaped, but he's injured and he can't run the operation because, as you remember, Kyle...
He got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, he got stabbed in the belly.
He got a new belly button ring.
Gonzo will have to do.
Oh.
To which Gonzo is like, fucking what? Ito's like, you used to be a cyber doc, didn't you? And he's like, no, I was a vet.
Close enough.
I mean, yeah, that's the... It'll do.
It'll work. Okay.
Yeah. So we get another dream sequence, and Alita wakes up. Her body isn't as pretty as her old one, but it's fitting for a warrior.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it's the body she's meant to have.
Yeah. But yeah, because as we learn, that's what she would have been using anyway.
But that's the thing, like... yes, it's the body that she would have been wearing. But, like, she wasn't built to be pretty. She was built to destroy shit.
Yeah.
And that's, like, clearly what she wants to spend her time doing, so...
Because you are someone from the movie and not the books, how does that compare as far as, getting to the body?
Makes a little bit... I don't know. I think I liked the alien ship thing.
Well, it's still the same. It's just that Ito had it already instead of the kids going out and having a look themselves.
I think I prefer the kids having to go out and look.
Yeah, okay.
Because it gives her, like, a bit more, like, choice in the matter and ownership of it.
Yeah.
And I like that the movie body, like, because it's supposed to be this, like, fancy technology. So the fact that the body changes to what her inner perception of herself is, I don't know, I think it's better.
Okay, that's fair enough. We did talk a lot about agency on our, either previous episode or the one upcoming.
Upcoming.
Yeah, I wrote it down somewhere.
It's Batwoman.
Yeah.
Because we're mad.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that, ladies and future boys.
So, that night while the adults sleep the operation off, Alita thinks about Ito's wound and declares revenge. She says, "Get fucked, Makaku, you're a dick.
I mean,
You stabbed my
she's not wrong.
You stabbed my Geppetto." So, meanwhile, we, the reader, cut to that Gladiator Fight Club stuff I mentioned from the TV, as you recall. It's just simple big cyborgs fighting each other. It's Mortal Kombat sort of shit. The current champion makes short work of his opponent with his grind cutters. His fingers extend ridiculously long and whip around so fast they can shatter just about anything.
Just in the movie.
Mm-hmm. After the fight, he is in his little green room thing, and a fan sneaks in. They have a drink and talk a little, but, oh, what's this? The fan's head falls off.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. The fan's body is Makaku's head.
Okay. Be careful with that.
It's,
The fan's body is Makaku's head.
Yeah, see? He was in disguise.
Tree boy.
So, yeah, it's Makaku's head running around on that flimsy dude's limbs.
Oh, yeah. 2x4.
Yeah, 2x4. So a scuffle starts, but Makaku's head sort of worms its way into the fighter's body and pushes up through his face, pushing the real face off and out. Now it's Makaku's body.
Don't think that's how that works, but okay.
Like I said, because he's like a worm thing. He gets in between the armor and then...
He's a train.
He's not a fucking train. Alright, well, he just pulled into the station that is this man's shoulders, okay?
I will turn you to my side.
Yeah, so he does a runner and sets his sights on finishing off Alita, now that he's got, like,
Big man body.
yeah, a big fighting body. Instead of just a big hulking thing from last time.
I know this is gonna sound like, you know, but where's Hugo?
Not in it.
Okay.
He is a piece of Volume 2.
Oh. Because he's a very big character in the movie.
Last week I mentioned how the movie does a very effective job of merging a lot of separate stories and it homogenizes them into one big cohesive movie instead of just bits. See, the Hugo story arc takes place after the Gruishka stuff, which it still sort of does in the film. But the motorball is taking place throughout all of it, and that's your, like... That's the one after Hugo. So, story one's origin, she becomes a hunter warrior while doing that job, which I hate that we haven't seen in live action because I want to see it. She fights a bunch of werewolves.
As you do.
Alright, so remember in Batman Beyond how there was all those people gene splicing?
Yeah.
Because it's a dystopian future? There's a gang doing that and they have a bounty out. She beats the shit out of them. But, like, falls through a rusted out roof and bonks her head. And when she wakes up, Hugo's there. And they sort of meet that way. You know the moment when he helps her up off the street and says, "Wow, you're heavy"? It's that bit. But, like, when she's a trained professional now. And they have their whole adventure with Vector and getting to Zalem and all that stuff.
So she really is just hanging out until he turns up and is like, "Hey, you know you could dream bigger than this."
Well, that's why I kind of like that era, because I like the idea of episodic bounty hunter adventures. It's essentially Mandalorian with the leader. But yeah, so you got this run, then Hugo comes and goes. And that's when she gets into Murderball. She distracts herself with a sport. And she gets super caught up into that. And then has, she does all that stuff, and then eventually that story arc finishes as well. She rises to an occasion, fights an enemy, is sort of done with the whole thing. She just kind of retires out of it because she gets bored. And then after that, what would happen next? She becomes a musician and plays in the Kansas bar until Zapan has his revenge stuff.
Well, then where does Zapan come in?
He's still in the Hugo stuff. He's still, is the one who puts.
So they just overlapped story. They got rid of all of her hunter-gatherer shit and overlapped story 1 and 2.
Not really. They overlap 1, 2, and 3, and she is a hunter warrior in the movie.
Yeah, but
you don't see a
you
shitload
don't see
of it. Yeah, but you don't see a shitload of it in the books either.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my tally.
I was waiting for you to notice that things aren't lining up as perfect as they were in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, because he's like a big boy, and now he's not a big boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the stuff you remember about him's in it. It just takes place once she's competent. So, yeah, we're entering one of my favourite phases, which is the Hunter-Warrior Alita. Like I said, because it would just be, episodic adventures if they wanted to do it that way. So we've got the little trench coat outfit. On a quiet night, Ito and Alita head to what is essentially a cop bar called Kansas. It is a bar for hunter warriors to gather and shoot the shit and do whatever it is they do.
I think that's actually a good idea.
Well, cop bars are a thing in like every other universe where that would be required, so it would make sense to have one.
I feel like bars for professions is a good idea.
You love that shit from the guild in Fairy Tale.
Well, yeah, so you have the guild in Fairy Tale, but in my profession, you're not allowed to talk to people outside of it. So if we had somewhere it would be a bad image for us to go somewhere and have a drink and stuff in case we're seen by the public.
You're saying teachers need a cop bar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nurses could have one. Because that would be
if Grey's Anatomy, the parts of it I've seen in Scrubs, I'm pretty sure the cop bar for nurses and doctors is just the cafeteria, right?
Yeah, but the patients are there.
Yeah, that's no good. That's what I was going to say. That one's not nearly as good.
You need your hangout place. So maybe teachers have a coffee shop. However, teachers are the ones that need to drink the most out of everyone, so.
Irish coffee shop.
Done.
Okay. You got yourself a deal.
This is my new mission in life.
Yeah. I like the dialogue outside of this place. In it, we see Alita being more grim, but still being a relatively dopey young woman. And they did something similar in the movie when I had it in mind, because before they go in, it's her and Ito, and they're near one of the big tubes that go up, and he's explaining that that's where the cargo goes up to Zone. And you can hear it sort of rumbling up as it goes, and she's like, it sounds like a mass amount of people screaming. And he looks at her serious face and goes, "You've gone very Christopher Nolan Dark Knight." And she gets big-eyed, goes, "Really?" And he's like, "Never mind." But in the movie, they go out the front, and she's like, "We're gonna fucking do whatever to Hugo," and then she stops to pet the puppy.
Puppy.
Yeah, she got distracted by a dog.
Look, I'm on her team.
I know, I thought you might relate to them.
This is a big, important moment. Hang on a second, there's a puppy.
Papa. So, inside, that master guy I mentioned, it's his place. Him, his dog, they're both there, and so is his baby, Koyomi. Little baby. It's also full of cheerful bounty hunters who know and respect the Dr. Ito, who runs their maintenance and fights alongside them sometimes.
Yeah. He's a good guy to have on your team most of the time.
He's the medic. He says, "Hey guys, listen up. We're going to need your help going after Makaku," and he is met with silence. In the movie, he doesn't have a bounty at all.
No.
In the books, he does, because Zalem doesn't have any sort of weird thing going on about Alita. It's no conspiracy. He just doesn't have a good enough bounty because he's a big, horrible monster, and frankly, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no one wants to help. Hunters are lone wolves, and the risk is not worth the reward. If Ida wants to bring in the bounty, that is his problem. We got a recurring fella you may recall from the movie called Zapan.
Yeah.
And he gives Ida some attitude, and suddenly the beer in his hand is now splashed in his face.
Rude.
Alita stands on his table. In the PlayStation game, I like that she outright calls them all pussies, but here she gives them all a dressing down, and it amounts to the same thing.
She pretty much
You're
calls
being
him that
pussies.
in the movie.
Yeah, it's always the same bit, but I think to save on text boxes and disk space, it's just summarized in a single word.
Yeah.
If they're too fragile to handle a bounty, they should all go and fuck off.
Pretty much.
Yep, she calls them bedwetters as well, just to put a little bit of icing on that cake. Ito sees the bar fight in the making and puts his dad pants on. He says, Alita, you have to apologise. Alita puts on her stubborn daughter pants and replies, fat fucking chance. Zapan, already wearing his bar brawl pants, says, I'm going to kick your ass. And Alita, putting on just a smirk, says, I would like to see you try.
I mean, she's pretty good at the fight.
They know that now. The table is kicked out from under her, and she dodges around some fists and boots before flicking out and kicking the beer steins into their respective owners' faces. I like that part's still in the movie.
It's a good clip.
She manhandles Zapan into in a stabbing some of the other patrons before kicking like the whole group out in like a big snowball of cyborgs up and out the door. As the dust settles, there's a quaking feeling. Like the ripple in the cup from Jurassic Park. You know? A gargantuan man breaks through the doorway because he does not fit.
Something big this way comes.
Yep. It's Makaku in that gladiator body.
Oh, yeah.
He's killed like 4 dudes just coming from the street at this point, just to remind you that he's a bastard. So, the pain in his eye, from the fucking whole fist in it.
I mean, he does have most of a forearm in his eye.
Yep. The pain's pretty intense. And you can still see a little bit of her elbow poking out of the clenched eye socket. He's decided killing Alita is not enough. He wants to torture her, turn her into a dreamcatcher-looking thing, and leave her alive in agony for presumably a long time.
Well, he basically tries to do the same thing in the movie, but he wants to, insert her head into his chest.
He's saying he wants to make her into a medallion.
Yeah.
Which they show in, a fantasy sequence at some point. He wants to turn her into, a sad dream catcher.
Yeah, so that she can comment on his
that's
bad
Zapan.
activities.
That's manga Zapan. His goatee's more of an aid beard in this version.
It looks like a crab claw.
Yeah.
That's what I got for you.
I hate it, but you're right.
I can't change my opinions.
Yeah. So, yeah, he does a little monologue about how she sucks and he's going to torture her or whatever. And he notices the baby at the bar. He doesn't make a move for it, but it is a sinister detail before he goes into more dialogue about how causing fear and pain upon others protects one from feeling those feelings themselves.
I do this because somebody hurt me in my youth?
Yeah, pretty much. Makaku then uses one of his grind cutter fingers, leading to a moment I expected in the movie but did not get. Alita dodges it a couple times before just running along the cable itself. It's cool, but before she reaches him, the other fingers expand too and whip out around her. That's when he makes a move for the baby.
Rude.
The fight stops because obviously a delicate element such as a baby hostage will do that to a fight. Alita tells him, just put the kid down. The baby hadn't done nothing. I like the little panel of Makaku being like, why is it yours? And she's like, what? No? It's just a weird, awkward detail. Put that baby down. Why? Is it yours? Huh? It's great. And then what happens? The challenge is set, as the bar floor crumbles under the weight and damage from the grind cutters. Makaku purposely falls into the sewers beneath, and if Alita wants the kid back, she'll have to come get it.
So, kind of the same, but not really.
Not really.
This time it's a baby, last time it was a puppy.
And it's pre-Berserker in the movie too, huh? Because that's the fight where she gets cut up and turned in. Yeah, see what I mean?
But like she does the one hand. Boop, boop.
See what I mean? Like it's all done in the film, but it's shuffled to fit, which I'm okay with. It seems like it came from a good place. It wasn't direct negligence of the source material.
What are you talking about, DC fan?
Fuck you. So Alita starts marching towards this hole in the ground. She talked a big game, and now her baby is in danger.
Wow.
Okay. So trap or not, she promises Master she will save his baby. And he looks a little too shocked to really hear that words are coming at him. The panel of him is just like, I'm having a trauma response right now. I'm busy. So she leaps down into the hole, and it reminds me a lot of like old New York from Futurama, I think. Upstairs, the dog, who you remember from earlier, the dog goes down as well, and Master asks Ito if there's a chance that this will be okay, and he kind of thinks so. If she taps into that muscle memory of hers, she should be able to figure it out.
Otherwise, we're all screwed.
Because remember how he explained all the like the plasma that her body can do?
Yeah.
They don't know that yet because it's alien tech.
Yeah.
So if she can naturally use the body appropriately, she should be okay, but they don't know that it can do that yet.
Well, that's so...
Because Ito took it, was like, I don't fucking understand any of this, it's in Martian, and pretty much just abandoned the thing.
In the movie...
Yeah.
When she gets Zapan's sword...
Uh-huh. The one with the cock hilt?
Yeah. The dildo sword.
I'm pretty sure the Damascus blade comes from the Motorball arc, but I may be wrong. Her coach gives it to her.
At first, she's just, swoosh swooshing with the sword.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually she starts, like...
igniting it?
Yeah.
I think that's just a cool visual. I don't know.
But it does, like, a weird thing. I'm particularly thinking of when she kills... What's his name? The guy that promises to send everyone up.
Vector.
When she kills Vector, there's, like, you can see, like...
Oh, he doesn't die
when she holds it in a certain way, like, it engages and disengages. That's cool, but that's,
That one was a choice. The Damascus blade is... Fuck, it's right there on the cover.
That one looks more like a serrated, like the swords where you hold one side and you're on the other side of the tree holding the other side.
The reason I didn't get the prop replica when it came out is because it's not the manga one. You know what I mean? It's its own thing. So she go down into the old New York looking thing. Okay. So she's down there hunting for this big jerk. Always almost gritty and serious, but not quite. She stops her fall by punching through a melted old building, but the building topples with her like still attached to it. Stuff like that. You can see her almost being very capable and using her, I assume, military training, but not quite getting the hang of things every time.
Well, she doesn't know.
When she crawls out of the water and shakes herself, she's like, it's like a dog, which I thought was funny as well. See?
You do that sometimes.
I do. It's a shower thing. I can't help it. Yeah, I like the balance of things throughout the series, like of her being sort of like a teenage kid, but still having the capabilities of who she is. It's like if Damian Wayne was not a fucking insufferable dick. An assassin trained, but a child. You know what I mean? It's that. And sure, life gets shittier and tougher, and you see less of it as the series runs, but it's still there now and then. At any rate, the fear and adrenaline makes her feel alive.
Nice.
So that's good. She's on the right track, and she hears Koyomi's crying, so off she zooms to the rescue. To the baby.
Yeah.
Alita finds the baby hanging in its, like, what is like a basket thing?
It reminds me a lot of, like, what you put the plant in, or, like, what you weigh fruit in.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Like, I know that's mean in both cases.
You know those like, taco bowls that you can... kind of like one of those on a string.
No, it's one of the old school, like, deli weights.
Yeah.
But, like, you know how it's got, like, the weight at the top and then the basket at the bottom?
There's a baby in it.
Yeah. Weigh the baby.
Yeah. So, she narrowly avoids an attack from Makaku.
Well, look, it's Starro.
Where?
You've got starfish head. Just got one eye.
No, that's the... Oh, he's wearing the gladiator dude's helmet.
Looks like Starro.
That's ridiculous. Don't worry, I have complaints about that outfit. People who have read it are probably making the same assumption. They know what I'm going to talk about. So while she dodges and gets to the kid, we learn a little bit about Makaku. This is his home. He grew up in the raw leftovers of the scrapyard, which is kind of the raw leftovers of Zalem, so that's like double shitty.
Yeah.
He sees Alita protecting the child and he cries a little bit. See, he was born into a toilet bowl. You know, sometimes the parent... Yeah, I was going to say, you know how a parent doesn't know they're pregnant and they just think they're going to take a dump?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. And, you know, usually they keep the child, though. But old Makaku here is like Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet's cinematic film from 2006, Flushed Away.
Oh, I like that. It's got the singing snails in it.
The slugs, man, they're cool. Yeah. But yeah, that's what happens to him.
Right.
He gets flushed away. So he's pretty touchy about other people caring about others.
How dare you care for others when no one cares for me because
like,
I'm a jackass.
You're helping a damn stranger. I couldn't even get, like, my technically loved ones to help me. This is rigged. This is rigged shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, family is a construct of your brain. You can choose whoever you want. Most of the time.
Vin Diesel and Paul Walker were not related, but they was family.
Particularly after the first Corona. They drink Corona beer in that movie.
You said Corona, so I started thinking about her.
Yes! after sharing that dog virtual game player, they were brothers.
They get super in a V-tube in for Fast 7. Wait, what number are they actually up to?
I can't.
Who cares?
Get into anything anymore.
It doesn't matter. So, Alita...
It's the new Mario Kart with Paul Walker and Vin Diesel.
Oh, God. So, Alita has the baby, so she can't really fight back, you know, or dodge efficiently.
There's a baby.
Yeah. But then Fang the dog leaps out and bites the fucker on his face. He literally rips the arm back out of his eye and gives it to Alita. He's been playing fetch all along.
Longest game of fetch ever.
It's a good egg. Yep, so he rips the arm out, gives it back to Alita, and she swaps the arm for the baby. So off Fang goes with the baby.
Makes perfect sense.
Well, now she's free to whoop ass. What?
Sure, I'm going to give this tiny dog an entire baby and hope it doesn't eat it.
Well, they're related. It's the owner's dog.
It is a dogo.
Yes, it's one of them Shibas. You know those doges from the memes. Yep, so off it goes. So Alita can, you know, now do things. When Makaku goes to make a grab for the dog, Alita does something. As we mentioned earlier, her berserker can manipulate plasma. Like one of those plasma cutters things that Boilermakers use to cut steel. With 2 fingers, she just cuts the fucking guy's arm off.
Is that when she lights her finger on fire?
Yeah. And then she noticed that because I just read the books again for these notes, and then we rewatched the movie to refresh. And she does it once, and it looks cool, and then like it goes out, and Ito explains what it is to her, and then they like hold hands. I'm like, fucking dude, he's going to get a blister or a burn or something. That should still be very hot.
But there's no like reason.
Oh, it gets used efficiently in the manga, and then she uses it to ignite the sword in the movie, I guess.
Okay.
It gets used here.
Okay.
Alright. So she cuts off the dude's arm, then dips her fingers into tar. And
not blood.
No, and the dog blood is from the OVA version, which, as we mentioned last week, was a lot of the inspiration for doing the movie. I also would like to say they mention that it's tar, which is good. Because
why do you think it was poop?
They're in a raw sewer ruins. And she's putting random...
So it could be poop.
Yeah, it literally could be, because she's just dipping her fingers into a slime substance in a black and white title and wiping her face with it. I'm like, oh god.
Poop.
Because I remember it not being blood, so I wanted to make a note in my notes about what it is, and then it happens, I'm like, Jesus. But then they say tar, I'm like, fuck.
That's nice.
So yeah, but that's like a, coffee machine's doing something.
Turning himself off.
Yeah. So, now, in the movie, it's dog's blood, yeah, like we said.
Because there's no baby.
Yeah, I'm
he smooshes a puppy.
Yeah. And that's like all the Martians sort of have like that little bit of extra dark metal on their cheeks under their eyes. And then pretty much every body she has after the fact, she keeps that tradition.
Yeah. It stops the light reflecting.
Mm-hmm. Although if it's made out of steel, and it's shiny chrome in all of these, it would actually be like way fucking worse.
Mm.
I don't know, man. I don't know this Martian stuff.
I just know why they do it in football.
Yeah, I know what you're
It's
saying,
to absorb
but then I'm
light.
looking at the art, I'm like, well, this is shiny metal every time, so it's actually super stupid.
Maybe it's so that when people look at her, it blends them.
I'm assuming it's so you can't punch someone in the face properly.
Nah.
Hmm?
That's stupid.
Make for a weird timeline. So while Alita is stalking over in full muscle memory mode, Makaku asks the big dumb boar on his belt buckle what he should do. Now that fucking thing's a weird design, and I didn't expect it to work like a Pokédex. But it does. For this one moment and never again.
I'm not gonna say what it looks like.
That
will get us cancelled.
It is a giant pig snout in the crotch of this man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it tells him she's too fast and too pissed at him, and his only chance is to use the grind cutters before she can close the gap, because once she's in, that guy's fucked. So he tries to strike, but without his other arm. His balance is not what it should be. So, she slides, she scoots along his other arm. I don't know if you've flicked and seen that moment yet.
I'm trying, but I have multiple fingers.
Well, yeah, she sort of scoots along it, making a shape like a candy cane.
Okay.
And he slams her against the wall.
Oh, yes.
But, she isn't on the arm anymore. No, sir. She lands atop his head.
Haha.
Yeah, see? She goes...
Mm.
That's important. So before she can punch down, into his head...
Because we know that brains are important.
Mm-hmm. The storm drain above them releases, and the place just floods out.
Oh, no.
Because he knows this place, so he knows that all the water will come in.
Oh, no, poop.
Presumably, yeah. We do see Fang got out with the baby, though,
open.
so that's good. In the surge of water, Makaku can use the current to steady himself and use his whippy fingers again. And Alita shouldn't be able to use her plasma hands, because of water.
But plasma's hot.
Yep. He goes to use his remaining arm, but you know how she scooted along it?
Yeah.
She was using her plasma cutter at that moment. So, the crack shows, and then just the arm just fucking just clonks apart.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's cool. She gives him a peace sign, and then they crash down a waterfall. And she stands up out of the water, and the first volume ends here.
Mm.
But that's something that bugs me about the series overall. But it's also part of why it's so addictive.
Mm.
The arcs always end in the fucking next one. The story arc doesn't finish when the volume finishes.
Mm. It's got a cliffhanger.
But they all do it, and it's frustrating. It's not a complete story arc. if it isn't in the story. So, for nerd closure, you pick up the next one, and then it happens again, and again, until you get to the quote, with a bit of nano tweaking, it should be possible to reconstruct her very, very slowly. And you get your blue fairy ending.
She's a real boy.
That's right. Depending on which version you like. So, instead of jumping into homework right now, I'm going to give you the actual ending for the volume, because it's my fucking podcast and I can play God when I want to. Which brings us to this one. Alright, welcome back. Hey, you did it. Okay, so, I threatened God and said, this is my podcast, I can do what I want, and then the laptop got full. And it stopped recording. It has now been like 24 hours. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. You remember where we're up to. I have double-checked where we're up to. So, let's continue this podcast. I said Lord strike me down, and he did. Because he's petty.
Yep.
And weak.
You really want to risk it again?
So,
really?
Alright, it is now day 3 of this podcast. Okay, so Alita finds Makaku on that little shore and tells him that she will bury him down there. And he calls her a hypocrite because everyone consumes life and leaves waste in their wake. But it's a weak argument for a guy who's addicted to eating human brains.
I mean...
You know what I mean? I think so. I know you want it's supposed to be angled so you can take a little bit of pity on him, but you can't really throw stones. I mean, like it's...
Wait, how do you take pity on a dude that eats brains?
Well, you get all his lore and backstory coming up, but it's starting with him being like, "You're
brains."
Right." It's like if Andre Chikatilo got up me for throwing away an old pair of shoes instead of donating them.
Yeah.
You know, like it ain't enough. Yeah, and then he says she's just after the money on his head, and he tries to give her a kick, but she grabs it.
Again, is that a bad thing? It's her job.
Yeah, she grabs the kick and just like drops him down, rebutting that it ain't even about the money for her, man. It's about learning who she is, figuring out if life is good or bad, or beautiful or ugly, all that sort of stuff. She ain't in it for the cash prizes, and she destroys the rest of his body, and the wormy head part escapes again.
Yuck.
It constricts around her, which is a word I learned from Pokemon.
It's a train.
Yeah. So she's wrapped up. There's a train is being ran on Alita. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh god!
Listeners, the face of regret right there. And he quickly explains to her, "Don't use your plasma your fingers in here. This part of the cavern is sort of full of hydrogen gas.
They go boom boom.
I mean, it's a sewer, so methane
really
probably.
Is running a train on her.
Great.
Oh Jesus! What have I done?
Yeah, she can't use her things, but that's fine because she's super strong. So she just punches through his like worm body through the middle. You know in Waterboy when she's like, I don't know what part a snake is, but I'd say it's knee. There's a similar thing. She's punching the tube section.
It's now a good time to tell you I've never seen Waterboy.
That's fine. She punched his
spinal column.
Not caboose, but one of the other train bits. I mean, he's just a spinal column, really. He's a face on a spine.
Yeah.
And yeah, she turns around to deal a fatal blow, like, punch him right in his stupid face, but she sees, like, the shrapnel has pretty much killed him anyway. Like, he's all fucked up. She punched him in the stomach so hard it looked like a frag grenade went off in his face.
That's what you get for being a metal snake boy.
Yeah, he has enough movement left in him to twitch his tail, because it's severely damaged, it sparks. So, boom.
Yay!
Vents in the street, like the proper, like, manholes, like, somewhere Marilyn Monroe's doing the dress thing, and she just gets vaporized. You know what I mean? Like, it's out of all the gutters.
Nice.
And, like, the processing plant at the end of town is just goes up like a fucking nuclear bomb.
Yeah, because it would be full of stuff.
Yeah, so it all goes up. Makaku finds himself floating in a peaceful light with Alita. It's not heaven. She can manipulate the fire around her the same way she does the plasma. So she's sort of repelling it.
So in other words, she's just too strong. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. Why do you think the Martians kicked our asses so bad? Because they got sweet robos.
Because we can't organise a clam bake, let alone anything else.
That's right. Our robos aren't good. We got those little pancake ones that vacuum the floor.
You have to follow them because they're just chaos incarnate.
Yeah. See, our robos aren't ready yet. But,
I still want one. I'm going to give them a great name.
Yeah, I'm not here to figure out the science. If, if plasma manipulation can repel an explosion, it's fine. But she did it to ask him something before he dies. Why are you like this?
Who cares?
What's your problem?
Who cares?
Well, we get his
file.
Well, he answers. We get his origin story here. Like I said, natural born kid, DreamWorks classic flushed away. He grows into a child, living off rats and drinking stormwater. Not a glamorous life, but...
So Tim Burton's Penguin?
Yeah, fucking literally. So one day he travels far enough around in the sewers to see the surface through like a grate in a footpath for the first time. He's dazzled by all the cool lights and life up there. There's all sorts of shit, man. Until a dude with a flamethrower, who I think is like pest control, sees a weird rat human in the drain. People can be very cruel, and the burns aren't in a very sterile environment down there.
I mean, I don't know if it's cruel or like...
It's cruel to not finish the job and leave a burnt thing to get septic in the stormwater pit.
Well, he didn't know that it was a full human.
I don't think he cared. Like, if you look, there's a lot of, every background character in the book, if you don't get to know them as a nice guy, you can just assume they're raiders from Fallout. They're scumbags, every one of them.
Okay.
So, he blacks out. He's not doing good. He's distraught that he will die before even being noticed as a person. Obviously, his fate doesn't end here, though, because, we're seeing him die in real time.
Yeah.
He wakes up in a tank. Kind of like, is it called a Bafta tank from Star Wars? They use them in Batman animated series a little bit.
I was just
a warm water tube.
I was going with Venture Bros.
One of those cloning vats.
With the twins floating.
Yeah.
And there's a movie I'm thinking of that it has a strategically placed bar. I think it's Bill Murray inside. I could be wrong though.
So yeah, there's a man outside the tank who's talking to him. Says he found him out in the filth and has saved his life, but unfortunately his body was ruined beyond all repair, so he'll need a new one. What kind of body does this guy desire? Obviously he chose to be a big evil maggot thing. And yeah, he went to the surface and infected the world, leaving destruction to prove he was ever there at all.
I mean, it's easier than been doing good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
However, he did still feel unnoticed, because as we know, no one ever dared fuck with him.
Yeah.
So they kind of turned a blind eye anyway. So it didn't technically work until Alita noticed him.
So he killed her.
They had their little,
Tiff.
Yeah, they had their little battle. The little story arc. Yeah, she let him be known. And at this point, Alita lets the fire in. And Makaku, fizzles out like a monster in the sun. Because there's a big-ass explosion they're sitting in.
Beef jerky.
Mm-hmm. Well, not even, cremation. There's nothing left. There's no jerky at the end.
Damn.
So as the real sun replaces the fire, because it's, I don't know, let's say 5 a.m., Alita finds the surface and sheds a tear for this lost soul, who probably could have been better off.
Yeah. Nah.
And he does leave a clue, because the person who worked on him has the little symbol.
Because they're a tattoo in this one.
They're not a little gemstone. I don't even know if they're a tattoo necessarily. They are something that is just required up there. Might have something to do with one of the big twists.
Because in the film,
later
they're like
on.
a little gem. And
I'm trying to think if kids
dog
have them
gets
growing
his
up
out.
or not. I'd have to fact check that. Might be a puberty thing. They have something similar to a brisk. People who have read it know what I'm talking about, but I'll save it for when we get to those volumes later on. Because obviously we've spoiled Motorball and the Hugo arc. We can leave 3 or 4 twists in there. Spoiler alert, she gets into playing the harmonica one at some point.
Things to look forward to, ladies and future boys.
I ain't giving you too much.
Harmonica.
I'm not giving you too much, but yeah, there's a whole thing. But yeah, anyone from Zalem is going to have that mark, and
I wonder if original Alita had it.
I don't think she did. She was Martian, not from. I don't know.
No, that's Alita, not original Alita. In the film, Alita is his daughter, not a cat.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
The parents get sent down to Iron City because they produce bad offspring.
I will have to check to confirm that for you. Because they go through like a big teenage process where like a thing happens to them, and that might be where the symbol is put on. Maybe.
Well, that's how you would tell. Because,
your bar mitzvah.
Like, I know that she's not in that film.
Your brain mitzvah, ladies and gentlemen.
One scene.
Yeah, that's what I can't.
So if she doesn't have it, then it's something that's put into them, and it would have been put in.
But no. It certainly gets put in. I just don't remember, as far as the books go, if it's immediately or at this point. I keep talking about.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the ending of the first arc? Really, it's just bounty hunter boss fight, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I think I like the movie better.
It gives you a lot more.
Yeah.
But, if you are just doing the long read, it spaces some of that stuff out.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, things get trimmed down to fit. So everything sort of has its own room to breathe. I mean, that's why they used Gruishka.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't feel like giving this guy any bullshit. They're like, separate character, doesn't have any motivations. He's just some guy. Don't stress about it.
I think that's
which is a cute way of doing it. I've never seen something retcon out an origin by just like replacing his that's a different guy. Don't worry about it.
But
it's a weird choice.
The thing. Like, I think there's so much to like the comic and stuff that it almost gets to that, like, hour-long TV mark where you're like, okay, there can't be any more family drama in this.
Yeah.
Like, let's move on. Whereas the movie does pretty good to, like, keep beats going.
I find that...
Even in the moments when, like, nothing's happening, something's happening.
The only arc that I feel that way about is the Motorball one.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of doing its own thing, whereas all the other ones sort of fit together pretty well. But yeah, it ends up being worth it after the fact anyway. Because, like, Motorball is a slog for me, but everything after that is just hit after hit. I love all the other stuff. Remember how excited I would be for a sequel to this movie?
Yeah.
my hopes die a little bit more every day.
Nah, it's alright. 10 years' time. We got a reboot.
We're doing Avatar rules?
Yeah.
Alright, sweet. That's better than nothing. There's still some hope. Later in future, boys. Yep, so that's the ending of the storyline from Volume 1. So that brings us to the ending of my notes for now. How do you feel comparatively? Like, you've obviously said this one's a bit more... It's obviously got a lot less to it. But how do you feel about, like, the comparisons?
I feel like I've been pretty vocal throughout.
Like that, like you said, they do a good job of hitting bits. I can't argue with that. They do a really good job of hitting all the bits. They're just in a fascinatingly weird order.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there's no Motorball, no Hugo. They're all coming up after this arc.
But that's like, I also like the way that they do Doc and her better because it gives it more reasoning and stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying that the books are bad or anything. I haven't read them, so I can't say that.
Well, I think because Alita is just dropped in immediately, like, Ito already has his thing going on, so you don't really get any sort of backstory to it because they're just cruising.
Yeah.
We've sort of covered a lot of the comparisons there. I do like both versions, I think. How do you feel about Shirin as an addition?
Yeah.
Could you take her or leave her?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
She's not really important to it.
No. She's from the OVA, though. I think that's the only reason she rocks up here. Oh, that wasn't me. I win.
It's my alert telling me to clean your house, so you lose.
Damn So the ending is really the only other thing I have in my notes to talk about. I prefer the original. I'm assuming because the book's still technically ongoing. I'm maybe in the minority there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really need the weird continuations. I never made it to the Mars Chronicle stuff, which was the prequel series of her time on Mars. We had to Google it because you asked what she was doing in the dumps in the first place, and I didn't really have an answer.
Yeah, why is she down there?
She.
No, that was my question.
Yeah, that was
we
your...
had to Google.
Yeah, we had to go and check.
It turns out they're just really mad at her, so they dropped her from the sky.
Yeah. Yeah, I crashed out during Last Order during that vampire UFC fucking space tournament bit. I like, bitch, just let her Pinocchio in peace. You know, let her do the I'm the real boy ending. I'm more than fine with that.
Yeah.
I get a happy ending. Not that kind. I get to see Nova with an empty skull and he's like a little pop flower, a little like flower in his head. He's just kind of like hobbling around. Fuck him. Yeah, I didn't like that they took his glasses off in the movie. I think you remember me being like very disappointed at the time. So yeah, I get so much out of the original version, I feel no reason to pursue any further. I'm just happy to reread it over and over again. Kaya, do you have any questions about any Alita stuff before we go into homework? Before we wrap this puppy up?
I don't think so. But I also haven't, I don't know. I know that you love it.
Alright, well, complete spoiler free. Is there anything that you want to ask about, after this?
I can't ask stuff after this because I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
You're like, hey, do you want to ask about what it's going to be like when you turn 40? I don't know. I haven't turned 31 yet.
Yeah, okay. Oh, so homework question then?
Homework question then.
Best cyborg.
Oh, God.
Alita's a cyborg.
Yeah.
And
Treasure Planet.
Oh. What is his name? Silver?
Yeah. Because he got morph.
That guy's strawberry jam with googly eyes in it. I can see I can see why you're a fan.
And the things I could do with that, I know people want background what do you call it, soundtrack? No, I just want a little goop dude on my shoulder.
I think Alita's probably my favourite. The Major from Ghost in the Shell is very similar in a lot of ways, being a full body prosthetic and stuff. We know that the Shadow is not my favourite cyborg. We remember that. Obviously the one from Teen Titans is good. They don't use him very much, and when they do, it ain't.
What about your boy Valentine?
He's a synth. I don't know if we count that. He's got a human brain pattern in a device. It's not there's no organics in that.
Excuse me.
No organics.
Are you saying that he has Alita brains?
No. I'm under the impression Alita has a brain.
He has brain patterns.
He has a fax machine giving him putting little thoughts in there.
I don't know what fax machine you're using. My fax machines don't help me shoot up the place. Mostly because I don't have one anymore because it's the 22nd century.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of fucking cyborgs, honestly. I don't know why I made that my homework question.
Does Stormfire count?
Who?
Firestorm?
Firestorm? The two dudes in the one body playing with atoms?
Yeah.
No.
But they're two dudes in one body
with
atoms.
His molecules mixed up. There's no machinery in that.
Does Blue Beetle count?
Oh. No,
he's
but it's hard to define
not
why. No, he's a host body with
synth parts.
Is the Scarab technology or I think it's technology. But it requires a host to work, so it needs organic parts to run it.
Ladies and future boys, I have stumped him.
You haven't stumped me so much as me going, fuck, I don't remember any of this very well. Look forward to me doing a topic where I have to reconfigure my noggin so I write it down as I go.
This is what happens just in our regular everyday life. I'm like, how does this work? And 3 hours later I get an answer that I...
Well, for some fucking reason, you're like, how does Alita get there in the first place? I'm like, well, shit. I hadn't thought that far yet.
I'm really great at coming up with questions that I don't even need the answer to.
So early on, like, when she thinks Ito's a serial killer, she's like, I don't give a shit about the past. And I'm like, alright, you said it, champ. That's the route we're going with this. We're not following it up. And then you ask, like, a simple question. I'm like, fuck.
Well, the problem is that she's supposed to be from 300 years in the future.
Alright,
I'm assuming he spends a lot of time hanging out in the dump.
From what I can tell, she landed there, because she was on a dying planet and her scientist father put her in a little rocket and sent it before their planet exploded.
Is the planet in a jar?
Yeah, we're going...
Are we Superman rulesing this?
No, we're not, because we're doing Vampirella, which, if you remember the original origin, is just a blatant theft of Supermans. Love that shit.
Or is it Supergirls, where it got knocked off course because Dad's not that very good at space travel?
Yeah, she got, like, bonked or something. And then you got poor Kara's one, who, depending on which version you're using, Kara Supergirl, Karen's Power Girl. Her one went slightly off course, went through a fucking wormhole, and popped out in Prime Earth, and she's like, fuck, there's already a Supergirl here. Imagine growing up and learning that, like, you're already here, bro.
Yay!
Oh, shit.
Alright. Well, I ask questions that no one needs the answer to, and forget that I asked the question in the first place.
I think we're all set. It's weird to end an episode because we've only been talking about it for like 20 minutes for us right now. So I'm a little bit scared to end it, but obviously there was parts before that. So thank you for listening to our two-parter.
3 technically.
It's 2 for them. Thank you. Alita's good. I would recommend it. Send us an email at schoolforwardnerds@gmail.com if you can justify the series dragging out like it has instead of having a nice ending. Because that's a fascinating thing in the big editions. You get to a certain point, and then there's like a black page with white text on it. It says, if you want to continue the series and read Mars Chronicles and Last Order, stop here. If you want the original ending that the author created, turn the page. I'm like,
choose your own adventure.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, well, we can either drag it out or things can diverge right here. Right here.
I had a choose your own adventure Cinderella story.
How does that fucking work? Cinderella has an end, like a definitive story.
I'm now questioning
Did
that.
you win?
I read that book a lot, but I cannot remember any part of it. I will have to ring my mom and see if she kept it.
Alright, I'll have to track that down.
Because it turns out she kept most of our VHSs as kids.
Fuck yeah. Alright, so, thank you for listening. I've been your host, Togo DePaula, joined by producer Kaya. Rate, review, subscribe, do all the things. If you play God, the laptop will get full. Class dismissed.